we've been your job search besties and helped you in some way, there's a cool way you can support the show. Shout us a virtual coffee.
We get a huge kick out of reading all of your success stories. Head to buymeacoffee.com/interviewboss and shout us a cuppa.
If you keep us caffeinated, we can keep the content coming. I'm just going to pause for a second. Would you like me to skip to the key takeaway of this example? It feels like the teacher stopping and being like, "Excuse me, boys and girls, we're just going to pause. It's your recess." Hey everyone, and welcome back to Interview Boss. My name is Emma. I'm a radio journalist who's teamed up with my sister to give you advice, inspiration and support when you're looking for a new job. Sarah is a HR and recruitment professional, and together we're excited to give you all the tips, tricks and behind the scenes knowledge to help you in your career.
Hey Em, and welcome back, Interview Boss listeners. It's time for our favourite part of the podcast. It's the Shoot Your Shot shout out. This is where we shout out you guys, our wonderful listeners who've gone out there, you've shot your shot, you've put yourself out there and you've got an update for us. Em, this week we are shouting out Coral, who bought us 3 coffees. Thank you, Coral.
Coral said, "Thank you, thank you, thank you." Bows down. Honestly, I can't put into words how much your podcast supported my journey to finding a new job. I followed the playlist discussing how to manage behaviour questions, in brackets, my nemesis, which I love that word so much. It reminds me of Phineas and Ferb and Dr. Doofenshmirtz, how he's Perry the Platypus's nemesis. My nema. So good. You know what? I'm going to bring that word back into my vocab. That's a great word. Love that. And how to best structure answers. I tend to go blank and inwardly panic. Hence, I don't demonstrate my best and true abilities and self. I love your just tell a story advice. So simple and yet effective. I found your guidance humorous, gentle and easy to follow. I put in the work and made my notes hinting to my must talk about best bits. Loved that. And after the interview, which included a 10-minute presentation, I was told they'd be in touch. Including the weekend, I had to wait 4 days. I was contacted by HR to invite me to a follow-up interview. Blood runs cold. But I had packed away all my interview prep and didn't realise there was a second stage. I felt disheartened that I had to give it my all again. What if this second time they don't like me and I don't make the cut? I turned my mindset around. There was so much else going on which contributed to a very challenging week, but I squeezed in some extra research for the role. It was a homeless prevention officer and complex needs role. I went in with my renewed notes for my safety net and put on my best effort. They called me later that day to offer me the job. The feedback was great. They said I scored really highly on both interviews and they would love to have me on their team. So happy. Ticks all the boxes I needed. Hybrid, higher pay, local plus benefits. Thank you once again. You are transforming lives with your guidance and support. I've recommended your podcast already to so many friends.
Oh, this is awesome. I feel like Coral would be friends with us.
Me too.
I like her sense of humour. Like, even to offer me the job has like 7 exclamation marks. I love the enthusiasm. Like, I can just feel it. It's awesome. And I just love that she kind of stuck in there, battled all the fears, used all of our tips, is really kind of getting in the zone with, hey, it's just a story. You don't have to worry too much. And it all worked out. Now, if you want results like Coral and you want to get incredible interview feedback, maybe you need to check out Interview Academy. That is our on-demand interview course that will take you from the very beginning all the way through to coming up with your career story, coming up with your best bits, structuring them, practicing them, coming up with a plan for your nerves, every single thing. And you can reuse it for every interview that you have in the future as well. Or if you want a bit more of a personalized approach, you can book in a one-on-one session with me. I do sessions with people from all around the world, so it doesn't matter where you are. There's heaps of different time slots available depending on your time zone.
And this is your first recording in a new hemisphere in Canada.
Yes.
So your time zone has changed.
I am officially in Canada. I'm going to be in North America for the foreseeable future. So if you previously had looked and the times didn't line up, or you thought, oh, Australian time zones don't cross over much, check it out. And hey, it still crosses over pretty well with Australia as well, just not so good in the evenings for Australia. But hey, check it out. interviewboss.com.au/coaching.
If you liked one of our episodes, used a tip that we sent you, or want to request an episode on your conundrum, situation, or industry, kindly follow us on Instagram, slide into our DMs, and we could dedicate a whole episode to you. This week, we are talking about what to do if you notice your interviewer zoning out. Okay, new fear unlocked. I didn't know this really happened much.
This is what I was really worried about. I honestly battled internally to be like, I want to give these tips, but then I'm so worried that someone's going to listen to this and then be panicking, looking for signs that their interviewer is zoning out, and then that's going to derail them even more.
But one would argue a zoning out would need to be pretty obvious. Like, you would know if they're zoning out, would you not? Because they would seem extremely disinterested rather than just...
Yeah, but I just thought maybe someone might, like the interviewer's just concentrating, or they're just not smiling very much and they're like, oh, they're zoning out, I need to hurry up. And I don't want people to do that. So that's probably the very first thing to mention with this episode is this is something that you listen to have it up your sleeve in case this specific scenario happens. This is not general advice. This is advice for a specific scenario. This is niche, but you don't know when you might need it. So still listen to it, but let's just do a deal. If you're listening to this and you're going to keep listening, you can't use this as an excuse to come up with more anxiety and more fear for the interview process. And if you think that that might be you, maybe just skip this one.
Yeah, skip ahead, know thyself. But for the rest of you, stick around and we're going to tell you how you can navigate this. So picture this, your mid-interview answer. You notice a shift. You might be waffling a little. You've lost them. Their eyes have glazed over. They seem really bored. You're mid-answer and you don't know whether you keep going or kind of wrap it up because clearly the direction you were going in was a bit clunky. What do you do? What's going on?
Well, I think first of all, you need to look for some signs, and there's a few things that you can kind of look for that you touched on. Their eyes are glazing over. They might have a lack of eye contact. They might be looking at their phone, looking at their screen. They could be glancing around. They could be looking off into the distance. It's a really hard one, obviously, when you're virtual. I think that makes it a little bit harder. I wouldn't use that as much of a sign if you're virtual because you don't know whether they're actually just looking at you and you're off to the side. Maybe they've stopped nodding and saying, oh, yep. Yeah, understood. Or like they were doing that at the beginning and they've just stopped all of that kind of positive reinforcement or active listening. They might look really blank and you might get this sense that they're waiting for you to finish and they're like, yeah, okay, wrap it up kind of thing. Like there might be that kind of expression going on. They might have unrelated follow-up questions. Maybe they weren't paying attention, or they might try and look like they're trying to interrupt you mid-answer, like, oh, and they might be trying to say something and then, oh, no, you finish. Like you might get that kind of a scenario happening as well. So I think first step is to look out for an indication that they've zoned out whilst you're mid-answer. Now, some of those things might just be your interviewer the whole interview.
Yeah, they might just be having a bad day and they're just not really concentrating and in it.
Yeah, that just might be their face when they listen to people. Like
that's just my face, resting bitch face.
They might listen better when they don't look directly at you or something like that. Like you don't want to read into just their general behaviour.
And quick side note, in the public service, I did an interview once and was so put off because they frantically are writing down everything you're saying and they don't look at you. And it was so weird because normal interviews that I've been in, it's constant eye contact, nodding, smiling. It's very like connecting. And it felt like I was in jail and I was being analysed. I was in like a questioning room or something. It was very unsettling. So in that case, that doesn't count.
That's right. And we're talking about kind of a difference or a shift that you're kind of picking up on. Maybe they were really engaged and giving you a lot of good feedback and a lot of good signs kind of early on. And then as you've gotten halfway through this answer, you've kind of noticed, hold on, I'm not really getting anything from them now. What's happened? That's the kind of scenario we're talking about. It's a bit of a shift in energy. And The reason why this advice is even useful, or that we're even kind of doing this episode, is that we want to avoid a situation where they don't get to ask all the questions that they wanted to ask because you've maybe given more detail or you've taken an answer in a different direction than they were expecting. And so they don't get to ask all the things that they wanted to ask before the interview's over, and they walk away not knowing what they need to know about you. We want to avoid that situation. That's kind of why we're trying to adapt if we can.
Interview Academy might be the perfect thing you're looking for. Interview Academy is a course Sarah has been working on after delivering hundreds of interview coaching sessions and getting incredible results.
But unfortunately, I'm only one gal living in an Aussie time zone who works a day job, and all of that mean I can't help everyone one-on-one, which drove me crazy.
So for over a year, Sarah's been working on turning all of those amazing lessons into an on-demand, step-by-step interview prep course. We hold your hand through the entire thing,
and you can do it at home in your own time and get instant access right now. Check it out at interviewboss.com.au/interview-academy. The link is in the show notes. So here's what you can do mid-answer. Like if you're halfway through your story and you're like, I don't know, I've lost them. I feel like, maybe it's been too long, or maybe this wasn't what they kind of wanted to hear, or maybe they didn't want this much detail. What are we going to do? Do some role play.
Okay, well, this one sounds savage because it feels like you're calling them out. Like, I can see that you are so uninterested. And it says, I'm just going to pause for a second. Would you like me to skip to the key takeaway of this example? It feels like the teacher stopping and being like, excuse me, boys and girls, we're just gonna pause. It's your recess. Like that's what it's giving. Yeah. I'm going to sit out the front until everyone's looking at me. It kind of is like, feels like you're calling them out. But it's a great way to be like, hang on, I'm picking up what you're putting down. This has been a bit of a messy answer. Should we just cut to the chase?
Yeah. Yes. And I think that this works in a particular scenario where you've kind of gotten sidetracked a little bit and you're like, you've picked up on it and you go, okay, hold on, reset. I'm actually just going to pause for a second. I can keep going, or I can skip to the end if you'd like. And it just kind of gives them an option to go, yeah, actually that might be good. And then that way we can move on to something else. And you're like, great. Like it's a very easy way for them to say, yeah, that would be good.
Or maybe they go, no, of course, finish what you wanted to say. Like,
yeah, that's right. And then you at least get some kind of feedback on where they're sitting. But if they are feeling like, God, I wish they'd get to the end of this so that I can ask them something or clarify or do something else, then that's going to be a really easy way to give them an opportunity to kind of go, yeah, actually that might be good. I feel like I really got a sense of what's going on already. I'd love to hear more about this thing instead. And it allows them to redirect you if the interview's kind of gone in a direction that they didn't want it to. What about our next one?
Another great thing you could say is, I just realized I've given you the really long version. I'm going to skip to the end and you're welcome to ask for more detail if you need it.
Yeah, love. Because it's kind of self-awareness. I've realized I've just gotten way into the detail. I'm going to wrap this one up. And then you're leaving yourself open for additional questions and additional follow-ups.
I think a lot of the time it feels like you can't do this, and that if you get too rambly, you need to somehow find your way out of it and just commit to this long-winded thing. But it's actually so good. It's like I'm muddled up, but I really just have to commit. You're trying to make sense of it and like you're lost in the forest and you're trying to cut through bushes and make your way out. But it's so okay to just stop and go, hang on, I've gotten really confused here. I'm just going to get out my compass and work out where the heck I was meant to go with this.
Yeah. And you can draw attention to the fact that, hey, I've gotten a bit long-winded here. I'm super passionate about this thing. I'm just going to skip to the end and you're welcome to ask me questions if you'd like more detail. It shows a little bit of self-awareness. It allows you to skip the part where you have to connect all the things and like quickly wrap it up. But that is also an option as well. We've got 2 options for that if you just want to try and like fast forward the end bit.
Yes. And you can also just skip ahead naturally. So you can say, so anyway, long story short, in the end, and give the result. You can just do that yourself and cut off the story.
Yeah. I don't like that as much because there's something about that just feels like you've pressured yourself almost. Like, yes, there's a self-awareness thing of you are wrapping up the story, but what if I actually wanted to hear the rest of the story? Does that kind of make sense? Like, you're not giving the interviewer an option that, hey, there is more to this. Does that kind of make sense? And what if I was just like, oh, I'd just gotten a different email and I was actually really listening and I'm like, oh, wait, what happened? Whereas I like the drawing attention to, oh, I've given so much detail here. I'm going to wrap this up. And then if you want more and you were really liking it, we can go into more detail. It just turns it into more of a conversation, I think, the other ways. Now, the other way that you can do this, if you don't want to do the mid-answer kind of option, try and engage them in a bit of back and forth. I think if you're zoning out in an interview, the best way to kind of be brought back in is to be talking again and to be asking questions or asking follow-ups or like getting into a bit of a conversation. So maybe at the end, ask them, is that the kind of example you were looking for, or would you want one from this perspective? Like, you can kind of clarify, I do have another example from this perspective. Is that, would you like to hear that instead? You can kind of just get them to participate in the back and forth.
Could you throw back and be like, how about you guys? Is that something that you do here? Or
yes.
Is that the kind of thing the team does to get them talking back a bit about, bring them back to the present and get them to share something?
Yeah, absolutely. And that will give you more cues then to pick up on their energy in general. Like if they're going, oh yeah, and then they start talking and they're kind of back in the conversation. Yep, it was maybe your answer and then you've got them kind of back and they're paying attention again, and then they can go into the next question and you can kind of say for that one, cool, how much detail would you like me to go into? I can do the long version or the short version. And they might go, yeah, the short version would be great. Like, you can really show that you're adapting your style to, hey, this person might have all these questions they want to get through and there's nothing wrong with my long answers. There's nothing wrong with them. But we want to adapt to this interviewer.
To suit them, yeah.
Yeah, might want shorter versions. Like, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with long, detailed answers. In fact, going through a proper situation, what I did end result for a really big, awesome example can be kind of long, and it's totally fine for it to be long. You just want to adapt that to, hey, this interviewer, for whatever reason, I've lost them. Maybe it's the wrong example. Maybe it's whatever. Can we bring them back and pivot mid-interview? Because I've seen people do this where they are being a bit long-winded. The interviewer has zoned out. It's really kind of obvious with the shift in energy, but there's no adjustment whatsoever. And it continues for every other question after that. And then you get to the end of the interview, everyone's kind of exhausted. We didn't get all the questions that we wanted to.
If you can intervene, you should.
Yeah. I think if you pick up on that, like, you want to give yourself an opportunity to get the interview back on track. I think it's the interviewer's responsibility, really. They should be intervening. But I have seen it where they don't want to be rude and cut someone off, because that would be really off-putting, wouldn't it? To go, oh, Em, I'm just going to stop you. Actually, that's plenty. You'd be like, oh, like, no one wants to do that to other people. So it can be really hard to kind of get a word in, and you're like, I just had a tiny question. I don't want you to go off on a whole long answer. I just had a tiny little follow-up. So I think awareness is key here, and just trying to adapt to the situation. It shows that you're an adaptable person, you're good with communication skills, all of that kind of thing.
Yes. And a quick disclaimer, none of the above advice will work if you're in a set questions type of interview. If that's the case, press on with your answer, even if they look bored, because you've been given that set question that you need to answer. That's the criteria. So press on.
Exactly. And look, with this podcast, there's going to be a lot of topics that don't relate to certain situations. If it's internal, if it's external, if it's government, if it's whatever, you're going to have to take what works for you. We don't endorse the bean soup mentality around here. Have you seen that?
Yeah.
That kind of internet idea of someone commenting on
But I don't like beans.
a recipe for bean soup saying, what if I don't like beans? It's like, well,
maybe skip this one.
Don't make this recipe. Like, don't make it their responsibility to be like, but what about my specific scenario? Well, it's different advice. So take what you need and what you think is useful and leave the rest. You're super intelligent. You're listening to this podcast. You can work it out.
Amazing. May the odds ever be in your favour that your interviewer never zones out. But if they do, you have this in your back pocket and you can hit them with the, reverse card and reinvigorate them.
Yes. Let us know if it works. I would love to hear that. I'd love to hear that you revived an interview, brought it back from the dead. Thanks for listening to Interview Boss. If you like hearing the sound of our voices, hit that follow button in Apple or Spotify, or better yet, tell someone else about the show, just like Coral did. That's how we can hit the charts and we can help even more people. For more advice, inspiration, and a supportive community, chuck us a follow on Instagram. Can you believe we started Interview Boss in 2021?
Not really. It's insane. That's a lot of episodes and a lot of hours of talking.
Oh my gosh, it is. And if you're scrolling through all of our episodes, you might scroll straight past something that you really, really needed.
Yes, we're always getting messages from people asking us to do an episode on something, and I'm like, we already have.
So we've put together playlists to help you find the episodes that are exactly what you need, suited to your situation.
They're all categorized. If you're applying for jobs, we have episodes about resumes, cover letters, job ads. If you've been offered your dream job, we have episodes on resigning, exit interviews, and how to impress at your new company.
And we even have a very special playlist that's very popular for if you have an interview coming up immediately and you need just our most recommended hard-hitting episodes between now and then.
For all our last-minute listeners. It's all there for you. You can browse by category and check out all the playlists at interviewboss.com.au/podcast.